I'm Abby Stamelman-Hockey, Executive Director of Interfaith Philadelphia, and I'm so happy to be here with each and every one of you. Thank you for, it's our 20th anniversary, and you're here from all the years, all the communities. Thank you. We are so grateful to be here in the Philadelphia Cathedral. This was our home for the first almost 10 years of Interfaith Philadelphia, and it's a place that builds community and welcomes all, so it's a perfect place to gather tonight. In my Jewish tradition, we mark time by saying a special blessing, and I'd like to ask anyone who'd like to join me in saying the Shehechianu. It's the way we mark firsts or special moments. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this moment. Anniversaries are a time to reminisce. And what is poignant about memories is that they become embodied, metabolized, and shape who we are. The same is true of organizations. Inspiration from countless people and programs, challenges, breakthroughs, setbacks, societal trends, local, national, and global events. All of these have undergirded our work over the last 2 decades. And that's what makes Interfaith Philadelphia who we are today. To be honest, this work has involved some heavy lifting. When we opened our offices, Rebecca Rivera-Watson and I, our office manager, came here to move the donated desks and file cabinets, only to find out that our movers didn't know there were no elevators. So we called some friends, you know who you are, and did this ourselves. Perhaps doing the heavy lifting ourselves was a metaphor of things yet to come. Doing this work in a city plagued with poverty and violence, mounting a responsive ad campaign when a hate group plastered SEPTA buses with an anti-Muslim ad message, countering political rancor with our years of civil conversations, building virtual bridges during the pandemic, and navigating the pain and fragility of relationships since October 7th have all entailed heavy lifting. While we do this work punctuated with tragic reminders that our very humanity is at stake, we have found again and again that the antidote is staying connected, staying in a relationship. Today, there's so much pressure to have a rapid response to intractable issues. But our honorees and our youth leaders, along with all of our wise staff and board members, have demonstrated that building relationships of trust, understanding, and cooperation takes time, and patience, and humility, and grace. It takes shared experiences, a willingness to speak authentically and to listen generously. It takes a willingness to hold multiple perspectives and to hold one another's pain, and to walk together over the course of time. This is what it means to love our neighbors. Partners and participants in our Visionary Women and Walking the Walk initiatives have helped us to discover this. In fact, resolving complex issues can only happen when our hearts and actions say, we're in this together, let's create a better future. There are no memes or posts that can do this for us. There are no shortcuts. There are only people. Someone recently asked, how long did it take to plan Interfaith Philadelphia's trainings and consultations in the wake of October 7th? And the answer was easy. It took 20 years. Allow me to reminisce for just a few minutes. In 2004, a dozen or so founding members, those with dots on their name tags, became aware of interfaith centers in other major cities around the country and around the globe. So why wasn't there one here in Philadelphia, the birthplace of religious freedom? While rich in religious diversity and history, we soon ascertained that our region did not have any centrifugal force for building bridges among faith communities or for understanding about the cultural and spiritual identities of the people with whom we work, live, study, and play. We wondered, how might interfaith work be a force for good and contribute to the vitality of our region? Looking back, it's truly amazing that all three of our core program areas emerged in our first 2 years. I wish I could say that we had a game plan, a design, a blueprint for how we would foster this kind of enduring culture change and climate change. But the truth is, the framework for building interfaith understanding and cooperation emerged on its own, or let us say, with the gifts in the form of people who came uninvited. Somewhere in our first year, Margie Scharf showed up with the idea of an interfaith service learning initiative for high school youth. Reverend Dick Fernandez, our founding board chair, and I looked at one another and wondered, is this possible? After many months of research, planning, fundraising, and lots of outreach and listening, Margie joined the staff and Walking the Walk was born. In year 2, Sister Maria Hornung came to us after 25 years of community development work in Africa, a degree from Temple University in Interfaith Studies, and a new book and program design called Encountering Other Faiths. Maria joined the staff with the generous support of medical mission sisters. Her adult learning and dialogue programs became the forerunner to what is now Interfaith Philadelphia's Leadership Institute. Also in year 2, we received a call and then a grant from Religions for Peace USA, asking us to form a table of senior religious leaders. After a year of behind-the-scenes work led in tandem with the Archdiocese, Rabbi David Strauss, Monsignor Gregory Fairbanks, and Sister Josephine Case worked with us to convene a day of discernment hosted by Cardinal Justin Regali. And in April 2006, the Religious Leaders Council of Greater Philadelphia was born, and that table is now 36 members strong. You'll be happy to know that I'm not going to recount all of my flashbacks or all of the people who have blessed this work. But thanks to our extraordinary team, we have displayed a timeline of over 50 Interfaith Philadelphia highlights along the pillars here with a digital version that you'll all be able to add to over time. Of the many ways we could have chosen to celebrate our 20th anniversary, we decided to spotlight our work with youth, the next generation. Our first, longest running, and most comprehensive initiative is Walking the Walk. This began as a youth program, but quickly became a vibrant community building initiative. The participating mentors and religious leaders from dozens of congregations walked along with the teens. They too formed relationships, and surprise outcomes began to happen. For example, Reverend Jay Gardner started a science enrichment program for his youth at White Rock Baptist Church, invited his new Walking the Walk friends at Masjid Kuba to send their students for Saturday enrichment, a program that lives on. We celebrate you tonight, all of you wearing pins that say, "Ask me about Walking the Walk." You are the religious leaders, mentors, parents, staff, group leaders, and alumni who ventured out and took a risk for interfaith understanding. Margie's recognition tonight is in part on your behalf as well. The Dare to Understand Award recognizes individuals who advance Interfaith Philadelphia's vision through creative and dedicated leadership. Our honorees will be presented with an exquisite print designed by artist Krista Bard entitled Understanding. More about the award and the recipients' full bios are in your programs. This year's honorees have special meaning for me. Margie Scharf, a treasured colleague and friend. Dean Judy Sullivan, Reverend Jesse Garner, Imam Kaiser Abdullah have been our board chairs over the second half of this organization's life. It's truly astounding how each of them brought the very temperament and the unique gifts that Interfaith Philadelphia needed to meet that particular moment. All have been mentors and close confidants. Standing on a 2-decade foundation, and at the threshold of the future, I can say without hesitation that we, the people of Greater Philadelphia, have the power to transform the way we interact, to embrace our deepest values, to surround ourselves with people who call us to our best selves, and to a vision of better future together. Before I conclude my welcome, I'd like to ask the leadership to stand, all of you who've ever served on our board, on the staff, who've interned with Interfaith Philadelphia, please stand. And I'd like to give a special shout out to the Dream Team who worked tirelessly on our 20th anniversary celebrations. Sarah Zebovitz, Kat D'Angelo, Marianne Smith, River Mason, and Stephen Field. And I'd like to take my prerogative to thank the hidden strength behind me, and that's my family. My husband, Eric Hockey, of 40 years, and David Hockey and Glenn Hockey, who are here tonight. Thank you for being here. I'm now delighted to introduce the Interfaith Music Project, gifted musicians who frequently grace my Shabbat mornings. They bring us spirit and harmony from Old Haverford Friends, Beth Am Israel, Zion Baptist Church, and Or Zarua. Following their musical performance, we will be treated to words from Julia Kaufman as she introduces our first honoree. Julia is a Walking the Walk alum who was a student leader from Congregation Beth Am Israel. She's currently a student at Harvard Law School. Interfaith Music Project.
Thank you, everybody. In your program, you'll notice that there is an insert with some lyrics. If you would like, you are welcome to sing along with the chorus of both of these songs, which is printed in bold. So the first song is called "The Spirit of God is Upon Me," and we really hope that we bring the Spirit of God to you through our music. And please feel free to move, to sing. It's a fun song. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, yeah, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, let me tell you, yeah, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Coatman, and I'm honored to be with you tonight. It's hard for me to believe that my time in Walking the Walk was over 10 years ago at this point, but tonight I'd like to share with you just one of the many ways the program changed my life for the better. For the last 3 years, prior to starting law school, I worked as a paralegal in Houston, providing immigration legal assistance to unaccompanied children. This work was deeply rewarding, but it was also challenging. As part of my job, I interviewed children in a local shelter to determine whether they qualified for relief from deportation. Most of our clients were teenagers from Central America, and although we spoke the same language, Spanish, there were often vast cultural divides that separated us. First, the Spanish I spoke was largely academic and formal. I'd learned it in classrooms. So I didn't know how to discuss the threats and violence imposed by street gangs, and I often didn't understand the slang and the colloquialisms that came naturally to the kids. Second, our backgrounds were poles apart. I grew up in suburban Philadelphia. Some of my clients grew up in towns with no street addresses. Others left school in the 6th grade to help their fathers and mothers with the family business. But despite these cultural differences, I was able to earn the trust of my clients and to help them lead the lives they had imagined for themselves in the United States because of the open-mindedness and humility that Walking the Walk instilled in me. I vividly remember at the end of my first year of the Walking the Walk program, the first time I ever entered a mosque. Growing up Jewish, I was understandably inexperienced and relatively uninformed about Islamic faith and practice. But throughout that year in Walking the Walk, we had fostered a habit of curiosity. We had learned to be unassuming and welcoming of unfamiliar experiences. So that day, rather than going into the mosque seeking to criticize or confirm any prior expectations, I entered eager to learn. That same attitude allowed me to bridge the cultural divides with my clients in Houston. Rather than relying on my preconceived notions of life in Central America, I approached every conversation with a client, honest about what I didn't know, and receptive to any detail they wanted to share with me. Rather than evaluating their lives, I tried my best to understand them. In a world marked by ever-increasing polarization, I hope that Walking the Walk will continue to instill those qualities in the Philadelphia teen community so that we can inspire more leaders to bridge cultural divides and bring people together across differences. Now, I am very happy to introduce tonight's next honoree. The Very Reverend Judith Sullivan not only embodies the essence of Interfaith Philadelphia's motto, "Dare to Understand," but she also challenges others to do the same. During her tenure as board chair, when anti-Muslim ads were displayed on SEPTA buses, Dean Judy's passion and compassion propelled Interfaith Philadelphia to mobilize a broad coalition response. With her leadership, our organization delivered a powerful message across the region on billboards and in print ads that we must dare to understand each other. Congratulations, Dean Judy.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you so much, everyone. I am very honored and grateful to receive this Dare to Understand award tonight, and it is especially meaningful for me to do so here in this cathedral, where Interfaith Philadelphia was launched, just over there, and where I began, just over there, and have served the majority of my years of ordained ministry. Quaker or not, those of us who love this city are heirs to its founder, William Penn's vision of Philadelphia as the holy experiment in religious toleration. Penn's vision of toleration was essential in the creation of the new republic. It was novel and remarkable. But my friends, it is just not enough to repair the social fabric which is apparently so deeply torn in our nation today. Toleration is often about simply getting through, bearing with, enduring, often unpleasantly, what we cannot or do not wish to change. Yet so much more is required of us who identify ourselves as people of faith, who sit with large questions about religious belief, the nature of the divine, and our responsibility to care for one another. When we speak the expression, "dare to understand," we invite every person to explore these questions, to look deeply and courageously within themselves, to examine their own religious commitments and their most cherished values, and to consider common humanity. Only then, with open spirits, open hearts, a humble and abiding curiosity, can we find a common vocabulary that rests on the touchstones of similarity and difference. And from that place of respectful listening and learning from other traditions, can we dare to be changed? Moment by moment, year by year, we at Interfaith Philadelphia have worked to build and nurture trusting, authentic, interfaith relationships across difference and similarity, all grounded in a shared respect for the dignity of every beloved child of God. So that when anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or any religiously motivated hatred might rear its ugly head in our deeply diverse city, we may come together quickly to speak with one unequivocal voice that condemns hatred, violence, and exclusion, and yes, dares to understand. Across denominations and religious traditions, we may speak with a voice that is just, compassionate, grounded in Penn's vision of religious freedom, and consonant with our individual beliefs. It is this voice, and others like it, that are now so desperately needed to reclaim the religious high ground in our democracy and to restore civility in public discourse. The continued work of Interfaith Philadelphia is critically important in making that happen. To my family, my beautiful interfaith family, our combined traditions are the joyful center of my life. Thank you for living with me our own holy experiment and for supporting me all these years. To my interfaith family writ large, which is all of you associated with this magnificent organization, you have expanded my understanding of what is holy and what is true. I thank you for your friendship, for your trust in me when I served as board chair, for all that we have accomplished together, and for the hope that we continue to find in this good work. Long may it continue. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bayan Tulubadi, and I was a high school student in Walking the Walk not too long ago. Thank you so much for having me tonight at the Dare to Understand Awards, and I'm very sorry I couldn't be there in person. I wanted to start off by sharing a short story about my time in Walking the Walk. Being raised as a Baha'i, I was brought up with the understanding of the oneness of religion, though seldom did I have any time to put that idea or those thoughts to the test. When I entered Walking the Walk, I was surrounded by a beautiful cohort of youth, ranging in ethnic background as well as religious practice. And at first, I stepped into this space with this understanding of the oneness of religion, but was not able to truly appreciate the beauty of this fact until I began to get involved with the program. Through the various religious events and activities that this cohort and I went through together, I was able to see more clearly how our moral guidance and our spiritual teachings were identical, and how we were all being led in our various ways to grow closer in our connection with not only God, but also with each other. This was an experience that was invaluable in my growth, and I only have the people that Walking the Walk, my parents, and the many countless people that served in this program to thank. And so I hope to be able to thank you with the actions that I am now able to take in my life and moving forward. I also wanted to take this moment to introduce one of our honorees, Reverend Jesse Garner. Reverend Jesse Garner inspires people with his deep sense of history and insight into the way that faith can drive out the ills of society. In his role as pastor, Jesse invited numerous leaders of other faiths into his own Presbyterian church, finding delight in the wisdom and uniqueness of all. During his tenure as board chair, we held a year of civil conversations that included welcoming Krista Tippett to Philadelphia for a live recording of the On Being podcast, which was broadcast internationally. Jesse's passion for breaking down barriers and countering divisiveness through dialogue is a source of continued inspiration. Congratulations and welcome, Jesse.
Good evening. Back in the very early days of COVID, several of us at Interfaith Philadelphia set about to imagine what the post-COVID world was going to look like for faith communities. And our visioning in those early weeks finally took shape in the form of a proposal that was then submitted to a major national foundation for funding. Unfortunately, the project was not funded. But to this day, I think that proposal that we put together in a feverish rush over the course of a very few number of days, I think that proposal was one of the best and one of the most forward-looking things I have ever been a part of. It was an incredible experience, and to this day I value that time. You see, our proposal was based on a premise. And that premise was that constructive engagement with other faith communities, including those of faith traditions other than one's own, that would not only be beneficial, but actually be essential to the well-being of faith communities in the years ahead. Essential not only in terms of their relationships within the broader community, but even internally, in terms of their own self-understanding and sense of purpose. If anything, I am even more convinced of that today than I was then, which is why I think that the work I have done with Interfaith Philadelphia over the past 15 years is the most important and the most satisfying work of all my years in ministry. I cannot begin to tell you in these few minutes here tonight how much I have enjoyed my service on this board, and in particular, getting to know the people that I've had the privilege of working with here, both fellow board members and our staff of incredibly hardworking and dedicated people. People I would never have known were it not for Interfaith Philadelphia. And I wish I had time tonight to name each one of you out there, because I think you are all very special people. Most of all, of course, our utterly incomparable executive director, Abby Stamelman-Hockey. Abby is simply one of the finest and most dedicated people I have ever met. The seeds of my involvement in this work go back a very long way. And I want to acknowledge tonight the influence of both of my parents on the course my life has taken, the course that in a very real sense had led to this occasion here tonight. Both of my parents were products of the rural South in the early years of the 20th century. Both had grandfathers who had fought in the Confederate armies during the war. And yet, their personal integrity, their sense of the importance of education, and their religious faith simply refused to accept the prevailing sentiments of racial injustice that were all too common in their world. And both passed on to us, to my older sisters and my brother, each of my parents in their own way, a sense that struggling against that injustice was a burden for which we were responsible and from which there would never be any retirement. I do want to thank my friends and family members who are here with us tonight, especially my wife Alan, my daughter Leela, my brother Al, as well as the many members and former colleagues of First Presbyterian Church here in Philadelphia who are here with us and who themselves deserve some kind of award for having endured me as their pastor for such a long period of time. Thank you all for this significant honor. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Mary Grace Murray. Mary Grace is a Walking the Walk alum of the Catholic faith and is now an MD, PhD candidate at Loyola University in Chicago. Mary Grace.
Good evening, everyone. To the Interfaith Philadelphia board, sponsors, alumni, and those being honored tonight, thank you for the privilege of your time to be with you to celebrate the incredible work being done by everyone in this room, as well as those who were not able to make it tonight. Walking the walk taught me some of the most valuable lessons I carry with me to this day. To listen, to ask, and only then to speak. Walking the walk taught me how to listen, how to set aside my preconceived notions, and to truly hear the story of the person sitting in front of me. Learning from my peers about their lived experiences taught me 1,000,000 times more than any textbook I could have ever read. Research shows that on average, physicians interrupt their patients after a mere 11 seconds. Medicine is certainly not the only field where listening is important, but for me, walking the walk has built a foundation of generous listening that continues to be one of my most valuable tools. Walking the walk has taught me to use the voice I have to advocate for those society may be less likely to listen to. Before moving to Chicago, I was in a lab here at Temple University. We had a postdoc named Fajul who had moved from Bangladesh recently to join our lab. From the few meals we had eaten together as a lab, I assumed he was vegetarian. But one day, I noticed him grab lunch from the halal truck outside of our building. I asked if he typically ate vegetarian for religious reasons. He seemed hesitant and reluctantly told me that he's Muslim, but that he worried that as a scientist, he wasn't supposed to believe in God. I gestured to the cross necklace I wear and answered, "Sometimes I feel that way too." I think that was the first time since he had arrived that I'd genuinely seen him smile. I preface my next question with the fact that I don't go to church every single Sunday, but do you pray Salah? He used to, but it was hard with our schedules. We were sitting together in the lunchroom of our lab, and I looked around and I asked if he'd want to be able to use the space to pray. To my surprise, he welled up with tears and said yes. The next morning, he brought in a prayer rug, and a few months later, our PI noticed. She profusely apologized to Fajul for not giving him the space for prayer when he first arrived. She said that as a boss, she would want to cultivate an inclusive environment that fosters all of us as human beings, not just as scientists. But sometimes she simply doesn't know what questions to ask. I'm continuing to recognize the importance of my interfaith education and experiences like walking the walk for not only myself, but every person in every field and walk of life. Interfaith Philadelphia has given so many of us the foundation to continue doing the work that takes a lifetime. The slow and sustained work to challenge the systems that we find ourselves in, to use our voices to advocate for change. And now to the next honoree, Iman Quaisir Abdullah, whose mosque was the first I ever visited as a student over a decade ago. At Interfaith Philadelphia, Iman Quaisir has been an inspirational leader through turbulent times for our region and the world. He served Interfaith Philadelphia faithfully as vice chair and now as chair of the board of directors through the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd and currently through the crisis in the Middle East. Throughout these tense times, where we need organizations like Interfaith Philadelphia more than ever, Dr. Abdullah has led through his integrity, his faith, and his value of relationships across difference. Congratulations, Iman Kaisir.
Thank you, Mary Grace. Good evening, sponsors, board of directors, Interfaith staff, present and past, award recipients, and invited guests. To my Temple University family, my Masjid Quba family, my City of Philadelphia family, my family, mom, sis, spouse, kids, including my eldest who is now studying in Rome, and my Interfaith family, thank you for joining us, joining me here tonight. I stand here today as the current and outgoing board chair, father, Muslim, member of the faith community, immigrant, civil servant, and all the other identities I currently hold in this moment. Although I am the board chair, I promise you, I did not instruct them to give me this award. Seriously, I did not. Thank you to Abby and the selection committee for nominating and selecting me for this award. Sarah and Abby can attest to the fact that when they suggested that I would be awarded the award, I was hesitant and reluctant to accept it. There are many others, many of whom you have already seen tonight, who are more deserving of the recognition. I stand with you and come after you in the work that you have done. Thank you for laying the foundation. You have blessed this work, and you continue to bless this work. I was asked to tell a story as part of my award acceptance. So I did some research because I am a faculty member at Temple University. Tuesday, May 29, 2007. That was the day when I was first introduced to Interfaith Philadelphia as the new representative for Masjid Quba on the administrative committee of the Religious Leaders Council. I have engaged with Interfaith Philadelphia consistently since that time. I don't have enough fingers to count how many years that entails, but I think my math tells me around 17. 17 years I have worked with Abby. Thank you, Abby, for leading the way. So May 2007 is the start of my story. So where does this story continue? To all the previous recipients of this award, and I'm going to say this and offer you this, you have many options in this moment. You can stand, you can raise a hand, you can raise an eyebrow, or even just raise a joyous feeling in this moment, right? You have all of those options. To all previous recipients of this award, raise whatever you are comfortable raising in this moment, even if it is yourself. Please stand. If you can't stand, this would help. So trust me in this moment. If you can stand and you're willing to, please help me out here because it's going to do something. I'm building up to something here. If I don't have anyone standing, my whole end of the speech gets lost. So no one's that's okay, I can continue. If you have challenged your own faith beliefs, based on trying to understand someone else, please indicate by a raise of a hand or raise of an eyebrow or anything like that. Thank you. If you have pushed yourself to reach out, even when you knew it would be difficult, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. If you have hesitated to participate in an event, but in the end you were glad that you participated because of a relationship that you formed, please raise your hand. Or an eyebrow or anything like that. Thank you. If you are still figuring out how to navigate an interfaith relationship in a moment when it is tough, but you are committed to seeing how it goes, please indicate. I see Bishop raise his hand really quickly. I didn't think I was that difficult to work with, Bishop. I didn't think so. As I look around at all the hands that have been raised, I see you and I see myself. Because all of these things that I've identified, I have stood, I have sat exactly where you are sitting in this moment. You, the folks with whom I have cried, I have grown, I have laughed, I have walked, I have talked, I have struggled. You are my story. You have inspired me, you have lifted me, you have challenged me, and you have kept me honest. You have forced me to dare to understand myself. You have forced me to dare to understand the other. If you ever wonder why Interfaith Philadelphia does the work that it does, this is why. This is why Interfaith Philadelphia exists. This is why we continue to do this work even when we stumble. Relationship building is not linear. It takes commitment, conviction, and creativity to understand. It takes the willingness to dare to understand. I pray that I have dared to understand more than I have tried to be understood. Thank you. May the Almighty keep you, strengthen you, nurture you, restore you, and give you all the good that draws you closer to Him, to the divine, and to each other. Thank you. I appreciate you. I now want to introduce Arisha Syed. Arisha is a Walk in the Walk alum of the Muslim faith and currently sits on Interfaith Philadelphia's Communication Advisory Committee and Zones of Peace Steering Committee. Arisha is a corporate communication specialist at Navient. Please welcome Arisha.
Wow, good evening, everyone. It is such a blessing to be sharing space with you all tonight. My name is Arisha Syed, and I'm a member of the Islamic Society of Chester County. My family and I, my family who is here tonight, were involved in Walking the Walk for a number of years, starting in 2014. And shout out to our group leader, Max Dugan, who couldn't make it tonight, but I know you're watching out there. As you've heard here tonight, the theme of today's event is looking back, looking forward. So I'll start by taking a look back at the impact that Walking the Walk has had. Anyone who engages in interfaith work knows that often in the process of learning about others, you end up learning a lot about your own identity. It's a lot of internal self-discovery as well. And that's what this short reflection today is about. Walking the Walk helped me escape my double life and embrace my true identity. Living as a proud practicing Muslim at home and yet feeling isolated at my secular public school, which was predominantly white Christian. One incident was when I was in 5th grade. and our class was learning about 9/11. And to my surprise, my teacher decided to use me as an example. I was about 10 or 11 at the time. I think I had just turned 11 about a week before. And the teacher decided to say that, Arisha's family would have a tough time getting through airport security nowadays versus my classmate, let's call her Caitlin, would have no issues. The teacher, of course, never faced any backlash. And I did have a couple students come up to me later on saying how awkward it was. To me, I would use the words inappropriate and scarring. Once I got to high school, walking the walk was a safe haven for so many of us. It taught me that we're all equally just trying to navigate this world and find meaning in life. We may take different paths, but it all leads to the same destination. Walking the walk showed me that I was not alone. I would not have the worldview nor the self-confidence that I have today if it weren't for walking the walk and everyone that I met along the way. So the strong sense of identity I'm very, very grateful for that Walking the Walk was able to give me. Now that was a little look back. Now looking forward, I hope that Interfaith Philadelphia can continue to offer interfaith youth programming and teach vital life skills to teens, including empathy and intentional listening, to better prepare generations for the diverse workforce and to help us navigate this increasingly scary political and social climate. And above all, to build confidence in young teens so that they don't feel the need to live a double life like I did. Now, thank you, and now I have the great, great honor of introducing one of tonight's awardees, someone who personally had a strong impact on me and my family's time at Walking the Walk, Marjorie Sharp. Marjorie founded the nationally recognized Walking the Walk Youth Initiative, bringing nearly 1,000 high school students, their families, and faith communities into relationship with one another. Through service, dialogue, and dynamic learning opportunities, the stories told this evening are witness to Walking the Walk's enduring impact. Marjorie centers curiosity, respect, and love in all her relationships. And I think anyone who knows her can attest to that. By navigating the diversity of our region, Marjorie moved Interfaith Philadelphia's vision forward, building a religiously diverse democracy, one neighborhood at a time. Congratulations, Margie.
Thank you, Arisha. Congratulations to my fellow Dare to Understand awardees. And a huge thank you and hug to the Walking the Walk alumni for introducing this evening's awardees. I'm so proud to share the stage with you and delighted to see, to hear, to feel the incredible adults you've become. I'm just so proud and so moved. Thank you. Congratulations to you, Abby, for your inspirational leadership and mentorship to so many of us over the past 20 years. And I have to say, I think I waited till I was in my 50s to finally have a wonderful mentor and supervisor like you. So thank you. We all applaud you. The initial Walking the Walk group began in 2005 with 22 students from 6 congregations of 3 different faith traditions. They were the first of over 1,000 participants over the ensuing years. It's wonderful to reflect that these then teenagers, the oldest ones, are now 36 years young, old, and hopefully, and actually I know this, are bringing some of what they learned through Walking the Walk and other programs into their adult lives. The first Walking the Walkers, most of them in 2005, did not have cell phones. Can you imagine? Perhaps some of their own children in the future will participate in the coming years. I'm very humbled to accept this award and do so on behalf of all of the Walking the Walk alumni, as well as their families, the group leaders, the adult mentors, the religious leaders, the artists who are actively engaged in the program. There were literally hundreds of adults who were part of teaching and learning and planning alongside our youth participants. We took this journey together, creating, implementing, revising, and trying new things to continuously improve the program. Wow. Look around the room. I am. My eyes and ears and heart were opened and are still opened as we took and take this journey together. You all are part of my history and story. Thank you. Let's see who's here tonight through a Walking the Walk tradition called pop-ups. Okay, please pop up or stand up if you were in the first or second cohort of Walking the Walk. Okay. Please stand up or pop up if you were a participant in other years. Stand up, pop up if you were a group leader. Wow. And pop up if you were a student group leader. Stand up if you were the many artists who helped us all process and reflect upon our experiences. Pop up if you were a mentor or a religious leader from a participating congregation. Pop up if you were in the initial multi-faith planning and curriculum development team. Okay, for those not here. And lastly, if you were part of a community service site that we worked at, a service learning site, or attended a day of interfaith service. Thank you. If I missed anyone, I will say, oops, another walking the walk tradition. You all are pioneers in taking the bold step to dare to understand. Our goal was to have you know, have you feel what it means to connect with people of faith, traditions, and cultures different than your own. To be curious, to identify shared values while appreciating the unique aspects of each tradition. Together, you put shared values you discussed into action through community service, building friendships, and having a lot of fun together along the way. By explaining your faith traditions to one another, you not only learned about others, but strengthened your own self-identity. This Dare to Understand award is for all of us. Each of you is the source of many ripples of goodwill and change, and you heard that through stories of the alumni. I hope that all Walking the Walkers are able to draw upon the skills, life experiences, including that from Walking the Walk, as you navigate your families, your friendships, jobs, and other commitments. By sharing your experience, being curious, standing up for what you believe, and for the right of others to practice their beliefs. You're promoting interfaith understanding at a time when the world sorely needs more of it. Who knew how relevant this journey would continue to be? These three words, dare to understand, continue to be as critical today as when the Interfaith Philadelphia adopted them. The continued relevance of this mandate speaks to its universal truth and our need to continue and practice it as a core value. This means we should be willing to have difficult conversation at times, but this need not come at the expense of the richness and joys that come through deeper understanding. My hope is that Walking the Walk continues to expand the community of people invested in building relationships with people of different backgrounds than their own, listening to what each other values and strengthening their values and commitment to action. Philadelphia is a city of firsts. The first library, the first zoo, the first fire company, soft pretzels, and more. We are fortunate to have Interfaith Philadelphia on this list, strengthening our region and contributing to models that can be replicated elsewhere. I'm proud to have played a part in its work and look forward to future milestone celebrations together and participating in your programs. Thank you for allowing me to join you. And now, we have a news break, a special surprise announcement from the City of Philadelphia.
I'm not from the city, but good evening. My name is Joyce Shin, and I serve as Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees of Interfaith Philadelphia. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome Bishop Wilfred Speaks, who serves as Director of Faith-Based and Interfaith Affairs for the City of Philadelphia. Mayor Sherelle Parker has asked Bishop Speaks to read a proclamation prepared for us today. To receive this proclamation, might Executive Director Abby Stammelman-Hockey and Board President Imam Kaiser Abdullah please come forward. Please come forward.
Thank you so much. Good evening to everyone. As was said, I am the director of the faith base for the City of Philadelphia, and I have the honor and the privilege to stand here for the 100th mayor of the City of Philadelphia, the Honorable Sherelle L. Parker. She has instructed us to come and to be a part of this great celebration of 20 years. So if you don't mind, can we just celebrate the awardees again in 20 years? The proclamation reads as thus. The City of Philadelphia is blessed to have a large number of clergy members, place of worships, and religious organizations that routinely improve the quality of life for the people in the City of Philadelphia. Our religious leaders and house of worships make small miracles happen every day by inspiring and uplifting individuals in their communities who are in need of hope. The City of Philadelphia is fortunate and thankful to all those who provide wonderful spiritual guidance and commend the evolving ways they serve our residents' many needs. One such entity is Interfaith Philadelphia, founded in 2004 by a group of interfaith leaders who had a vision for a just and compassionate society where all people are valued, distinctive traditions are welcomed, and people of diverse backgrounds collaborate to advance the vision. 20 years later, Interfaith Philadelphia is a robust nonprofit organization whose work addresses the interfaith needs of our region. And from the institutions that comprise the fabric of religious life to youth of all ages, and adults of all vocations serving the Philadelphia region. Interfaith Philadelphia builds relationships and bridges amongst diverse communities. They use immersive programs such as Mosaic, a youth summer program, navigating difficult conversations used in training and workshops, and facilitation with the Religious Leaders Council of Greater Philadelphia to achieve their relationship building. They are keenly aware that their work is carried out in the birthplace of religious freedoms and take pride in their 500+ religious, civic, and corporate partners who believe in their mission and vision. So therefore, I stand as a representative, and the proclamation reads, therefore I, Sherelle L. Parker, Mayor of the City of Philadelphia, do hereby proclaim Thursday, June the 6th, the year 2024 to be Interfaith Philadelphia Day in Philadelphia and encourages